Hi Tyler, I'm Stephen Burton, owner and president of Waterproof Solutions. Thanks for having us out. What you have is a cast-in-place foundation, and that's concrete poured in between two forms. So you've got a concrete footing, then they pour a concrete wall, and I say concrete footing, the footing's twice the width of the wall. So that's what your foundation is. And the load sits on the front and rear wall of this house. You've got a spine down the middle. So water management is a big reason why foundation problems happen if the water management isn't done. And it generally starts with landscaping, concrete pitch, or the gutters. And in your circumstance, as you've eloquently showed me in the video, that we have a gutter issue. So 2 inches of rain, let's just say we get 500 gallons, and I say this a lot because it's an easy number to translate. 500 gallons of water is not much water. That is about 4,170 pounds, and it only takes 300 pounds to break your wall. Why? You have a 3,000 pound pour, and about 10% of that can break it. So you got to be real careful. Now, if the basement leaked real well, in many ways that's better than it pent up and breaking. The pressure got relieved. Hydrostatic pressure is quite wicked. So what it'll do is it pushes the air out first and everything out of the ground, then it starts to work its way in. If in fact that it's made its way up and around the footing, then that's why we're starting to see some of the results of when water comes in, starts to stain, and things start to happen. And if we have organic material coming through the wall, which is like if a crack happens and there's some mud coming in, then it adds to it and things start to get you a little willy. But at the end of the day, adding a system to the house when it's done properly is a very good thing, because a house without air conditioning is much better with air conditioning, and a house with a drainage system done properly is much better than one without one. So how much do you do? And that's the $1 million question. And when I first started this business, people would say, oh, you don't fix part of your roof. I would, but they want to get your head thinking like them. So I don't think like that. The reality of it is you do what's necessary for the house. I believe if this were my house, I'd be kind of looking at getting possibly half of it done. I don't know that I'd march all the way around this basement. You have flooring in there. We have no issues. Now, if I get out in the backyard later and we have a backup video that says, now I see this, and if this doesn't change, but I digress. I haven't looked at the back yet. And I think that's what's important, is not to ever get ahead of ourselves. But as I see things now, and as we've discussed, I believe doing a two-wall system buys us the most protection as well as advantage against having to move forward should we have to in the event of a gutter failure, patio failure, and something in the like. So even though the garage is over there, we're still vulnerable because under a garage is all fill, and that can be a place to hold water. So we talked about one wall, two walls. We're going to look at both of those. But as we walk down, we don't really have any push. And I've talked to him about how long we've been in the house. It's been a couple, 3 years. This drywall would all start to break if the wall's laterally moving in. So that's a really good sign. So I kind of predict a vertical crack, possibly maybe 1 or 2 on the front wall. And again, your prep is going to be just taking that drywall up 2 feet. You're just wanting to make it able for the gentleman to be able to come in and take the floor out all the way to the footing. So that board that's on the ground, the studs sit on, and by the way, all that kind of floats. So that board will have to be put back in, and have them glue it and don't have them nail it, and make sure it's treated lumber. That way that new concrete and that treated lumber can have a nice long life together. What's really good about this situation is we've got a good place to discharge. Now, there is a bathroom in here. Now, there'll be some tile lost. It's part of the casualty of war, but we're going to have to come through. I think we can go under the tub and come around. I pray that, see, our plumbing's all over here, so I think we're going to have just an opening underneath to be able to tunnel through. If it turns out that we have an issue here, then we'll have to stop and we'll have to talk about what we would do. The worst case scenario is that the bottom piece would have to be popped out so that we could get through there. Never say never. Could just leave it at that, Tyler. But it's nice looking. I hate to tear up things that don't need to be tore up, but if you got to break some eggs to make an omelet, then let's do it.
Sure.
All right. So as we make our way over, this is the great part of this whole thing, is that okay. So this is where we're going to put the pump, and we've got an outlet over here. It looks like. Now, what I'd rather see is just one outlet. Just for the pump, and not a GFI. Even though that's code, we don't care about that. You can be in a swimming pool with the pump running, it's not gonna bother you. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go out, we're gonna take a look at where the downspout that's probably in this corner. We wanna grab it and take it to a dry well, which is a hole in the ground with rock in it, and we'll send you details to that. So, having said that, everything looks very good, and I don't think there's anything else for her to discuss, but we'll get a proposal out to you, and then we'll come back over it. Next pictures will be all outside on the right side of the house, rear side, as well as the other side of the garage. Thanks.